Okay, guys, the next piece is writing a quadratic function given 3 points. And it is very important for you to remember we're going to be writing it in standard form. So not vertex form, ax squared plus bx equals c. And what we are looking for, we are looking for our ABCs. All right, so for example 1, it says, write a quadratic function in standard form that passes through the following points. So we have an ordered pair of -1, +13, 0, 3, and 2, -5. And we put them in a table like this. Just remember, these are going to be all the x values. And then these are outputs. And remember, outputs are the same thing as answers. So you're going to have this 13, this 3, and this -5 by itself on the other side of the equal sign because it's the letter y. All right, so 3 equations. Our first equation, we're going to use -1 and +13. And remember, it's going to be in this order, which means that -1 is going to pop up twice, once next to the letter a squared and once next to the letter b, just in regular form. So it's going to be a times the x value of -1 squared plus b times that same x, but it's not going to be squared, plus c. Notice c does not have the letter x next to it, so I'm just going to recopy c. And then, instead of copying the letter y, we're going to write the output, which is the answer, so we're going to write a 13. That's equation number 1. Equation number 2 is going to look kind of the same. We're just going to go to the next piece of the numbers there, the next row. So now I'm going to put a 0 in here. 0 in next for the letter b. Remember, c doesn't get anything, but this time the answer is a 3. Now we're going to do it one more time with that last ordered pair that was given to us, which is going to be a 2. So it's 2 squared, a regular 2, but remember it's going to equal a -5. So when you go to put that in your equation, I'm going to go ahead and show the calculator ready. So remember, we're trying to solve for a, b, and c. So we need these numbers next to a, next to b, and next to c. So the coefficient for a is -1 squared. So you can go ahead and do -1 times -1, but the matrix will take it just like that if you want to put it in the value like that. So my first equation has -1 regular squared. Just a plain -1. Remember, c's coefficient is understood to be 1. And the answer here for the first one is a 13. So for the next one, these are zeros. So 0 squared, of course, is 0. The next number is just plain 0. And remember, the coefficient for c is still a 1. But in this middle row, it equals a 3. For our last row, we had 2 squared and then a regular 2. And remember, c has a coefficient of 1. c is always going to have a coefficient of 1. And then this answer equaled a -5. So let's go ahead and plug that into the scratch pad here. So remember, I'm going to hit the number next to 9 for my matrix template. And I'm going to type in these numbers. Now remember, excuse me, the -1 was being squared, and we can go ahead and type that in just like that. Remember, it's squared. And then we had a plain -1, and then a +1. Remember, our next row was 0, 0, 1, so 0, 0, 1. And then our last row was 2 squared, 2, and 1. So again, you can go ahead and square it in your head if you want to. I just kind of want to show that you can go ahead and leave it in exponential form. And the Inspire will go ahead and calculate the values for you. Remember, we are raising this to a -1. Also, don't forget to get out of exponent mode. And now, for our answer matrix, we only have one column. And we're going to put the 13, the 3, and the negative 5. Okay, so we get an answer of 2, negative 8, and 3. So remember, 2 is your A value, negative 8 is your B value, and the coefficient for C is going to just be 3. Okay, so now remember when we write this as standard form, we are going to go ahead and, let me just kind of maximize this window, replace our ABCs with these actual numbers down here. So the answer for number 1 is going to be 2x squared. That's the A value. The B value is negative 8, so write minus 8x. Our C value is just a 3, and it equals y. So remember, when I ask you to write something in standard form, the letter x and the letter y are going to stay in those final answers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. So for the next example, same exact process, guys. It's just the ordered pairs are on a picture. So we're still going to have an ordered pair down here at 0, negative 8. We've got another ordered pair here at 3, negative 5. And then our last ordered pair is right there at 4, 0. And remember, this is the setup that we are using. So all of these first numbers, all of these x's are going to go right here. The answer matrix is going to be over here on the other side of the equal sign. So our first equation is going to be A times 0 squared plus B times 0 plus C equals a negative 8. Our next one is going to be A times 3 squared plus B times a 3 plus plain old C equals a negative 5. And then our last one is going to be A times 4 squared plus B times the 4 plus plain old C, and that's going to give us an answer of 0. Now again, I can go ahead and square those numbers. All of these numbers are super small. We can do this in our head. Or you can type them into the Inspire with the exponent. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer. I'm going to go ahead and square my values here. The first numbers, of course, are going to be zeros. So that's a 0, 0. And remember, C always has a coefficient of 1. And then it equals a negative 8. Our next row here is going to be 3 squared, which is 9, plain 3, and then C always has a coefficient of 1, and it equals a negative 5. 4 squared is 16, plain 4, coefficient of C, and 0. So let's go ahead and plug that into the Inspire there. So again, your matrix template is next to the number 9. And we're just going to type in 0, 0, 1. And then we're going to put in 9, 3, 1. And then, of course, 16, 4, and 1. Don't forget, you got to raise that to the negative first power. Get out of exponent mode, go right back to a fraction template. But remember, we only need one column this time. And the negative 8, the negative 5, and the 0 are going to get dropped in there. Negative 8, negative 5, and 0. So those are our coefficients for this problem number 2, the graph. So remember, it was going to be 1, negative 2, and negative 8. So 1, negative 2, negative 8 gave us the calculator answer. But of course, we have to rewrite that in standard form of a quadratic. My A value is a positive 1. So remember, when it's positive 1, you don't even write anything. This is a negative 2, so minus 2x my C value is -8, and that is going to equal y. So let's talk about what you need to do now. After you've completed these notes, you are going to grab one of these exit tickets, and you are going to complete number 3 twice. Number 3 on page 7, and also number 3 on page 14. When you do this, you just need to show the calculator ready equation and make sure that you write the answer in appropriate form. All right, that's it. Go grab an exit ticket and knock this out.